I think it's often quite a shock for them how much they're affected by having a live performance done well right in front of their eyes. It's very human, you know, and it goes back thousands of years, obviously, probably to the first time humans were speaking to each other, they would have been telling stories. And it does connect somewhere deep inside in a way that watching television, not that good television can move you, absolutely, but it's just a different experience because it's right there. You're part of a collective experience.
Thank you so much for joining me, Sally,
Pleasure.
here in the theatre at Flinders University. It's Matthew Flinders Theatre, is that right?
It is, that's right, yes. And Flinders are helping us out greatly with our current production. So,
yes, it is. And it's so nice to be in a theatre space as we talk to you about your play and what's about to happen with it. But before we get into that, I know you've brought along your item of significance.
I have.
Which is something that connects you with your community. So I was wondering if you could tell us that story.
Absolutely. So it's a very unglamorous looking paper bag. But in this bag, and this isn't, I have multiple bags like this at home, all full of scribbled notes, and I always have pen and paper on me wherever I am. And I think being so in touch with getting my feelings out and into words is probably how I do connect with my community. Sometimes it's really valuable to have such a vivid record of the way I felt at that time, because I think your feelings about everything when you're a young adult or a child are so much more intense. It's not that we don't still feel those feelings as adults, but we've sort of learned to put them in perspective. But the first time you're heartbroken, or the first time you lose someone, or the first time you're in love, all those sorts of things, you feel it so intensely. And sometimes as an adult you forget that, and you expect children and teenagers to cope with things and react to things in such a mature, fashion that we do.
So you've got, lots of thoughts and feelings that you're, flowing out onto the page, and then connecting with your community. You mentioned that. So perhaps you can explain a little bit about who your community is, because I know from previous conversations that it's quite diverse and you've got a varied community.
Probably I would say my community is anybody who goes to the theatre, who listens to stories, and there's a certain theatre community, certainly in Adelaide, there's a strong community of people who always go to the theatre, and so they're your community. But then each show or each play has a story or a message and touches upon issues that affect people throughout the community. The play that we've got coming up, Gone Viral, which will be in the Dream Big Children's Festival, that is a play about a 17-year-old girl whose father's dying of cancer. And so the community for this play, I suppose, is young people dealing with the stuff you have to deal with at high school. It's parents of young people who want to get a kind of a more insider's view of what their teenager's going through, and it's anyone who's been touched by cancer or really by illness or grief, So the community kind of has little fingers everywhere. Yeah.
And obviously with a play, there's quite a process to go through from your writing and crafting of that story to, this point now where you're about to, the production's about to go on during the Dream Big Festival. Yep. Throughout that process, what are the different communities and how do you move through those? Right,
well, that's a really good question, and this has been the most profound experience because it's my first time as producer of a fully professional production. I've produced my own work before, but always on a more independent level, or I've had other people produce my work in a professional level. The very first step is to find somebody who wants to collaborate with you, because you can't possibly do it on your own. And I was really thrilled that Tiffany Lindell-Knight wanted to direct the play. I knew her, we'd met actually through our children's school. She's an amazing actor and quite an experienced director, but she's probably in the same situation as I am as a producer. This is my first professional production. This is her first professional directing thing. So we were very much at the same level of wanting to, step up. I think the haphazard nature of a career in the arts is something that only other artists truly understand, because even people that have been doing it longer than you, who have won millions of awards and who you've always looked up to, you talk to them and it's like, yeah, it's still pretty hard. You still don't know necessarily where the funding for the next production will come from, or whether you will have where the next job will come if you're a freelancer, you know. And obviously you eke out a living, it works in the end, but it's quite stressful. You've always got to be looking for your opportunities, and you know, you've got to have other things bubbling away while you're working on something, so that when this one finishes, you're not starting from scratch.
Yeah, so there's a bit of juggling involved.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me,
Absolute
Sally.
pleasure. It was lovely to talk to you.
It's been so great, but I'd like to conclude with you sharing Sally's Be the Drop tip.
Sure.
So that is your top communication tip.
Okay, I guess my Be the Drop tip from my experience would be nothing that I've ever written that goes well has ever come from trying to be clever or trying to say something that I think people will be interested in. I have occasionally done that because I thought that's what I should do. It never works. It always works when you write something that's absolutely authentic and is based on real feelings and real observations that you've made. So that's in terms of the actual writing, and then in communicating that or marketing that, I just think you need to tap into that same authenticity. You need to find that kind of core message that really resonated with you, and then put that out to inspire other people to get on board. Yeah.
Great. So know your message and sing it loud and clear.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Sally. I'm pretty excited because now we're actually going to go and have a bit of a look at the play and rehearsals.
We are, yes, and I think we need to do that immediately.
Yes.
I've got someone over there in the wings. Yeah.
Great. Well, let's go.
Great.
Not the English yet.
I'm not doing English.
Who?
Said I'm not doing English, remember?
Okay, sorry. Anyway, you're lucky. I can't believe how many essays we had, and they all count for our grade.